I'm Darrell Castle, an attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Tennessee. Today we're talking about workers' compensation. In this first edition, what is workers' compensation? It's a form of insurance that is provided by state law here in Tennessee. In other words, employers are required to carry it if they have 5 or more employees. And if they are required to carry it and they don't, and they have an injury by one of their employees, they could be personally liable for it. This insurance covers wage replacement, that is its real purpose, to replace wages lost through an injury, and also medical benefits. Wages lost once you've been off work for 14 days, it covers 66 2/3% of your average weekly wage. That's what it returns to you. And it will do that for as long as your doctor says it's necessary for you to be off work. Once your doctor says you've reached maximum medical improvement, return to work. You have to do that because your benefits will be cut off. Sometimes your doctor will send you back to work on light duty. In other words, lifting no more than a certain amount or something like that, and that can cause problems, as your employer may say, well, we don't have any light duty. But that is a matter that can be resolved between the employee, the doctor, and the employer. But this doctor's duty is to get you back to work as quickly as he can. It also covers full medical benefits. In other words, your doctor bills are all covered by the workers' compensation insurance. Now, it is also a form of insurance that has a very low burden of proof for you to recover. In other words, you don't have to prove as an injured worker that anyone was negligent. In fact, negligence is not even a concept in workers' compensation. The burden of proof is simply that you were on or about your employer's business. And in return for that, you agree to a lower recovery. That is the pact between you and the employer. The purpose of it, of course, is to prevent discord in the workplace and things like that. So you agree to accept less money for your injury in return for not being able to sue your employer for negligence, as workers' compensation is your sole and exclusive remedy. And that burden of proof is that you were on or about your employer's business. That is your burden. And sometimes that's more complicated than it seems. For example, if you're working, if your job is to build things for your employer and you're building things, well, then obviously you're at work. But let's say you're driving to work. Is that on or about your employer's business? No, it isn't. But let's say that you drive for a living. You drive a delivery van and you stop somewhere along the way and have a couple of drinks in a bar. Is that covered? No. But if you're in your employer's parking lot, is that covered? Maybe. If you are at lunch, if you work in a certain place and you go to lunch, you're not on or about your employer's business while you're at lunch. But let's say your employer says, why don't you bring me back a sandwich from lunch? Maybe. These things are all matters of debate and matters of case law and things of that nature. But that is essentially the debate between employer, employee, on or about his business. Simple negligence is not a concept. That's what workers' compensation is. But let's say you were not injured at your employer or at your employer's work. You were injured by a third party. For example, let's say you're driving a delivery van that we talked about before, and some other driver causes the accident. Well, that's a third party injury, and that's a good place to start the next video.